Hey guys. I'm sad. I just realized it's the last day of spring break. Yeah, technically we still have Sunday. But nobody likes Sunday anyways, am I right? So in my sadness, I realized it's Love Week. And what better way to cheer myself up than by telling a story about something I hold near and dear to my heart. So instead of talking about girls or family or anything else that you might expect a normal teenager to talk about, I'm going to be telling you guys the story of how I met this guy and how his species had a lasting effect on the way I live my life. Prepare yourselves, because this video is all about banana slugs! Lights, camera, action! Ta! I hope you guys liked my new intro. I worked really hard on it for like 10 minutes. So without further ado, let's get started. It all started about 4 years ago, when my family was planning our summer vacation. The tradition was that each year, we'd go to somewhere we haven't been before. But of course, it's always a huge hassle because nobody actually wants to decide where to go. So, it's all left up to Mom. But the final decision wasn't made until all of us agreed on a spot where we'd like to go. So, most of the conversations went like this. Colorado? Nevada? Canada? New Zealand? Okay. I just kidding, that flight's too long. Woo! Peru? Yeah, it was that every meal for like 2 weeks. Then came one night when we were at some sub place and she suggested something that sounded kind of cool. How about Washington? But at first I was like, no, Mom. Washington, D.C. is so boring. But then she explained to me that there were 2 Washingtons in the United States, which made like no sense. She told all of us that the Washington she was talking about, beautiful. There's mountains and forests and beaches. Oh, and when I was there, the place was crawling with these little critters named banana slugs. Banana slugs. Now it should be noted that I've always loved to hold animals. And when I was little, I used to love to catch stuff. So when my mom described these banana slugs as big, yellow, and friendly, I was like, gee, awesome. Friendly little bugs that were all over the place and I could just pick one up and it wouldn't try to escape? That was like hog heaven for me. So bada bing, bada bang, we ended up in Washington that summer. And after that conversation at the sub place, my mom would just go on and on about these banana slugs, and she was hyping me up pretty bad for it. I'd been looking up pictures of banana slugs, articles about them, but I really just wanted to see one in person. So when we got to Washington, the first place we stayed at was a lodge in the Quinault rainforest. I had been told this Quinault rainforest was prime banana slug territory. And sure enough, as soon as we got to the place's gift shop, the place was loaded with banana slugs. Like, I'm talking pens, shirts, plushies, keychains. Banana slugs were quite the tourist attraction. Our first activity in the Quinault rainforest was about a 3-hour-long hike, and I was more than ready. I remember the first steps of that hike like a forgotten dream. Except not because I remember the forgotten dream. Anyways, as soon as we got on the trail, we started walking a little while, and I was starting to get anxious. Where were my banana slugs? Like, this whole time I had been envisioning this area with yellow everywhere, in this huge banana slug fantasy land. But unfortunately, I was disappointed to just see green. Just green. Until there. The leaf. A speck of yellow. A brownish yellow. And I questioned its existence. Is it real? Could it be real? Oh yes. It was real. It took a little close examination because at first it just looked like a brown lump. Then I saw its little eye stalks pop out like whoop whoop. And I knew I had found my slug. I gingerly lifted it from its leafy throne And for that moment, it felt like in my hands lay the epitome of true happiness. A forgotten friend that I had been destined to meet my entire life. Nah, it was more like, whoa man, a slug far out! The creative genius I was back then named him Sluggy, and off we were. With Sluggy in hand, together we experienced beautiful scenery and more banana slug friends. Felt like a little rubbery stress ball, and everyone likes to hold stress balls, right? Except I didn't bounce him or squeeze him like a stress ball. That's just messed up. The beautiful scenery of Lake Quinault combined with the excitement of seeing the biggest, most colorful slugs I'd ever seen before in my life made the whole experience pretty memorable. And when the trail was finally done, I parted ways with my new friend and said farewell. And you know, it sounds silly, but I actually felt like I made a new friend that day. Even though the whole time he was probably like, oh my god, this is horrifying. Crazy monster is taking me away from my home and putting me somewhere I've never been before. So obviously now I know not to displace an animal from its natural habitat, but it felt good back then. So anyways, when we got back to the Lake Quinault Lodge, I was super stoked about that whole experience. And I told my family that we have to go to the gift shop before we leave. Because we only had one day in Quinault, and I may never see another banana slug in my life. So we entered the gift shop, and I knew immediately that whatever I got had to be able to contain the spirit of the banana slug in one small package. So I looked around and there were some keychains and oh, that's cute. And there was a little wall thing that I can put on my wall that says Banana Slug Crossing, and I was like, oh cool, so I got that anyways. But then I saw him. He was in a little bin with others of his kind. So bada bing, bada bang, I had a banana slug. So I appropriately named him Sluggy, and for the rest of that trip, we had a blast together. I took funny pictures with him, and he was just pretty doggone adorable. Just look at him. When the trip was over, I came home and I put him on my bed in a permanent spot where he's gonna probably stay for the rest of my life. You know, until I move. Then I'll be like somewhere else. So after that trip, everything became about banana slugs for me. So I guess the moral of the story is, there is no moral to this story, is there? Banana slugs are pretty cool. They're, you know, no more special than any other bug. But something about them really got to me, and they've kind of become my mascot since then. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope I've made myself kind of less of a weirdo in your eyes by explaining my opinions. Maybe I've made myself more of a weirdo by explaining my opinions. But regardless of what anybody thinks, banana slugs and Sluggy here will always be a special part of my identity. No matter how peculiar a part it may be. Thanks so much for watching, guys, and before we go, I have one more thing I've always wanted to say. Captain Sluggy sliming out. See you next slime.